When Arthur was born, he instantly became the entire world for Harry and Jane. Caring for a newborn was exhausting, as it is for any new parents. But they cherished every moment. Even those dawn hours filled with constant crying felt strangely fulfilling, as though every tired breath was wrapped in love. They weren't rich, yet what they had was enough for the three of them. Their small home, their shared meals, their laughter around the table, these were treasures no amount of money could replace. But as Arthur grew, subtle signs began to worry them. He walked on his tiptoes. He seldom made eye contact. He seemed to drift in and out of the world around him, as if half of his attention lived somewhere else entirely. Concerned, they sought an evaluation, and soon after, Arthur was diagnosed with mild autism. The doctor spoke gently. "Autism isn't a disease," he explained, "and so there is nothing to cure. Arthur simply needed guidance, therapy, support, and patience to learn how to navigate life in his own way." Harry and Jane took this to heart. They were grateful his autism was considered mild, and they threw themselves fully into supporting him. Their days became a balancing act of work, therapy sessions, practice routines, and learning how to interpret a world that Arthur experienced differently. Some things came easily to Arthur. He taught himself to read long before they expected, his small fingers tracing letters with instinctive curiosity. He showed a sharp, almost natural talent for academics, but other areas were much harder. Socializing with children his age was nearly non-existent. Arthur preferred being alone. Instead of playing with toys in the usual way, he took them apart, studied the pieces, or arranged them in perfect lines. Sometimes, Harry or Jane would walk into a room and find him smiling at nothing in particular, or laughing softly at something invisible. It frightened them not because it was wrong, but because they didn't understand what he saw. They didn't know what the world looked like through his eyes. Arthur seemed to interpret life differently. Things that should have scared him didn't. Things considered ordinary sometimes terrified him. His senses were sharper, his reactions unpredictable. When they tried to explain something important, it often felt as though their words simply passed through him. Conversations became puzzles, each one a test of patience and understanding. Frustration was an understatement. Yet beneath the exhaustion, their love for Arthur never wavered. They wanted to walk with him through every challenge he faced. But that thought came with a fear they rarely admitted aloud. One day they wouldn't be there. One day Arthur would have to face the world alone, and that terrified them. Many nights, Harry and Jane lay awake imagining the future. Would Arthur be happy? Would he find friends? Would he understand the world, or would the world understand him? Would he be able to stand on his own? Or would life push him down more than it lifted him up? But inside Arthur's mind lived vivid images of Harry and Jane, of people he met, and of the emotions he observed. He wasn't incapable of understanding. He simply understood in his own way. He felt joy and sadness just like anyone else. He just expressed them differently. Where others filtered their emotions for the sake of social rules, Arthur reacted freely. There was no hiding, no pretending, just honesty. If he tiptoed, it wasn't aimless. His feet were sensitive, so sensitive they could feel tiny changes in the ground beneath him. If he seemed lost in a moment, it was because his mind was replaying something he had felt happy or sad. And his reactions bloomed whenever the memory returned. In many ways, Arthur was more free than most people ever allowed themselves to be. And slowly, Harry and Jane realized something. As much as they feared for him, Arthur was learning. He was growing, adapting, and understanding life in his own rhythm. Maybe not in the way society expected, but in a way that made sense to him. Perhaps the goal wasn't for him to be normal. Perhaps it wasn't about shaping him into what others thought he should become. Maybe the true path for Arthur was simply to live life his way. Because life, after all, is different for everybody, and Arthur's way was just as real, just as valid, and just as beautiful.